Smashing Interviews magazine. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Great. Not only enjoy your television work, but we spoke a couple of times in the past few years about your music,
Oh,
which,
cool.
which I enjoy also.
Awesome.
Um, well, it's the last season of Hunters. So, how do you feel about it ending?
Well, you're always conflicted, when you get something this fun, a character this great, a premise that's this provocative and a cast this fun to be with. It's always bittersweet to say goodbye. You get excited about, what might be ahead also. So I've been doing this long enough that I know how to kind of honor something and mourn it, and then just kind of move on and be thankful for the time you had with these people.
Was it just because the timing was right, or was there a specific reason why?
I mean, you'd have to talk to the Amazon folks and David about
Mm,
that. We're not included in those decisions.
shame, huh? Okay, so we find out at the end of season one that Hitler and his wife are actually alive and they're in South America. So the hunters are together again to go after them. What kind of different adventures can you talk about?
Well, I'm not sure how much to say.
Mm.
There is ingeniously, and I think David actually meant to do this anyway, but there's this 2 year gap between the first season and the second season. The first season takes place in 77. Next season takes place in 1979. There's this disastrous trip to Europe that the hunters take, and some things go very poorly, all of which you just hear about. And then we're all in different places scattered around the world and doing different things, and the gang gets reunited for various reasons, and for this enormous reason to go to South America and catch the biggest of them all. So yeah, it yeah, it's there was this kind of fragmented quality, and then we all get scooped up again for one last adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Lonnie says he's changed and gotten even more amazing. So
I forgot he said that.
he is truly the comedy relief,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that yeah, is that what you were talking about? Your character in the very beginning, was he going to be the sort of the, I don't want to say Ted Mosby, but it's
Well,
sort
he's nothing like Ted Mosby. I mean,
of right.
yeah. I mean, I, I don't think I was like brought in to be the comic relief. I think that the character just says some outrageous things that are funny, and I don't even know. I'd say Lonnie's trying to be funny 30% of the time, and 70% of the time he's not even trying to be funny. But I don't like to delineate like, oh, this is the comedy person, this is the serious person. Like, I think that a good character has comedy, drama, tragedy, triumph, all the things. Like, I want them to feel complicated and dimensional. So I never thought of myself really as the comedy or the comedic relief, but certainly when you watch the show, I get some really good zingers.
Well, the opera singing,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
yeah, it is very funny. And just as much as anything else, I really enjoyed the '70s clothes.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
I,
I do too. I will miss
I,
those.
I'm not going to say outfits because I wore them as clothes in the
Sure.
'70s.
Yeah.
And they're very vital to the show, I think, and it
Yeah.
brings just a whole new plot line. Maybe the clothes are big. Is there anything that's changed this season as far as wardrobe or anything like that?
Well, I think in first season, Lonnie wore a lot of like wild print shirts and tight polyester pants and boots and leather jackets, and he had more of a almost like Travis Bickle kind of taxi driver vibe going on. And second season, his career's taken off more. He's got a Oscar kind of buzzy movie about to be out. And I think he ups his game from a style perspective. There's suits and cravats and just some more expensive stuff. I think he's peacocking a bit, maybe for Roxy, but he's really he's upped his fashion game in season 2, I think.
Mm. Are there scenes or stunts in season 2 that were particularly challenging for you or difficult to shoot? There's so many action sequences.
Yeah, I mean, there's that big scene in the steam room. There's like a huge fight, George and Lonnie in the steam room, and that was actually quite fun to shoot. There's the fight at the opera, which was also really fun. Those were early days of shooting that opera scene, but I love that whole sequence. I think it's like a James Bond kind of sequence at the opera. I'm trying to think. We had some big shootouts in when we were in Prague. We had some big shootouts, on this ranch. It's fun. It's like, it's fun to be an adult. My dad was a trial lawyer. Like, he didn't get to like fake shoot people, in his job, but I've gotten to do it in my job. So I'm really grateful for that.
I would think that would be fun. There's a new Hitler, of course, this season. Udo Kier. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but he's quite the storied actor. Had you ever worked with him before?
No, I hadn't, but I got to, really talk to him quite a bit when we were in Prague, and a little bit in LA, but yeah, I mean, he has stories for days. It's like quite a biography, and quite a chilling performance, honestly. Like, I think he's excellent, and the makeup they did on him the first time I saw him, it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. I imagine. Little mustache, of course.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah. And season 1, the thing that has changed is season 1 ended and Meyer was killed. So he's back in season 2. I think basically that's not even a spoiler. I think everywhere on the internet, I've seen that. How is that? Is that bringing him back in flashbacks? How is that driving the story? Was that the reason for that?
Well, I think there, a lot of Hunters is structured as a mystery. David is really sharp about giving enough information, but enough left out that you are kind of, you want to know, and there's a little more information, a little more. And he's a real master storyteller in that regard. So I think there were a lot of questions left over. How did this happen? How did he assemble these hunters? Why? Where did this, what did it look like? So you actually get to see him like assemble the posse. You have these flashbacks to him, coming to a movie set of mine, and when I'm not in a good headspace, and various characters. You see how it all came about.
There were rumors in the first season, I guess. Is Hunters at all even loosely based on true events?
Well, I'm not sure if there were rogue Nazi hunter gangs. There might have been. I mean, you could ask David about that, or someone more knowledgeable than me, but certainly there were more sanctioned Nazi hunters. Simon Wiesenthal, who's a character, that Judd Hirsch plays in both seasons, he was this very famous Nazi hunter, and surely, they discover, these Nazis living in Long Island or whatever. So there were clearly people, federal agents and different people, like Jerrica's character, who were assigned to that beat, like who really tried to find these people and extradite them and bring them to justice. So I think there's probably a secret history to be told that's more than what we know. But I also think we're telling a pretty fictional story at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. They basically I guess what we're reading about is they prosecuted him in court, not necessarily went after him and killed him all, although we don't know really
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened. Yeah. Uh, um, because of your religious upbringing as a Jew or bringing up Jewish, were you apprehensive at first to sort of jump into this?
No,
Um,
no, I was excited. Yeah. I mean, David and I both love the idea of tough Jews, like letting Jews kick some ass. Like I really like it, and and I had no qualms about it. I mean, when I got the part, I was just thrilled, and I wanted to join this team.
Even though such a weird premise, I guess. Yeah.
I
But
mean, sure, but what isn't, you know?
yeah, I mean, hey, sci-fi is sometimes weird too. So, I mean, what does the new member of the team, Chava Apfelbaum, I believe, played
Oh,
by Jennifer Jason Lee. What did she bring to the table?
well, there's a bit of a mystery about who she is and where she came from and why she's doing what she's doing, but she's she's a bit of a Nazi hunting mastermind and very good at her job. And also, being an actor, when you've been at it for a while, one of the thrills is you just get to work with these people you've admired for so long. I mean, I've always loved her work, and got to spend a couple months with her, getting to know her, and she's an incredible actor, but also just a great on-set hang. I really enjoyed getting to know her, and I think she had fun.
Yeah. Who's the person on the set that sort of cuts the tension and becomes funny with some practical jokes or just some jokes or gets everybody laughing?
I think the practical joker on set thing has been overstated. I'm not on a lot of sets with practical jokes. Like, I think it's more like you're just hanging out as people that you love and your coworkers, and you talk about things and you wonder when lunch is because you're hungry, and you plan to meet up later for a drink, and you ask Carol Kane a question about Princess Bride, and you just it's not I don't know that people have, I mean, you fall into certain roles, but it's not yeah, I don't think there weren't a lot of practical jokes on set.
Al Pacino, I imagine, has a lot of
Practical joker. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, probably. I would think you're bound to have some sort of a wild, interesting story you've gotten from him.
I mean, most of it is just like when you act with him, you see how much he loves acting and how he's relentless about getting it not right. I don't even think he would use that word, but finding the truth of a scene, making sure that it makes sense psychologically. He's not afraid of failure. He'll try many different things, some of which he knows maybe won't work, but he's just going to try. He just he's kind of a hunter for like the good moment as an actor. And he's also really supportive. I mean, I never he felt like he was really invested in the show, invested in us. You'd have to ask him about this, but I think he liked the feeling of being with a group of actors that kind of felt like a theater ensemble. It almost, I love those experiences where you kind of feel like you're all doing a play. It just happens to be filmed and beamed out into the world.
Mm.
But I learned a lot from him, and he tells the best stories too.
Yeah, I bet. But what would you say to viewers who are sort of on the fence about possibly watching Hunters? What would you tell them that this is something that you can get out of this and it's worthwhile
Well,
watching?
it's thrilling, it's dark, it's funny, it's outrageous. It's really about something. Sorry, there's a siren going by. Um, it it's a mystery. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. Uh, it's scary. And sadly, it feels even more relevant. This notion of anti-Semitism and genocide and these horrors, which we had hoped had been relegated to the 20th century. They're mutating viruses, and they seem to be rearing their ugly heads again, across all sorts of, races and ideologies and stuff. So I think the show feels more relevant even than it did when the first season came out. So it's I don't want shows to feel like they're, eat your vegetables or something, because this certainly has a lot of pleasures to be had just as a show, as an action show. But it's also really about something that is of the moment and historically tragic, and hopefully we can move the needle in some positive direction.
I think I have a little less than 5 minutes. I wanted to ask you about Fleischman.
Yeah.
That you've and your character, married to Libby, I believe, Lizzie Kaplan.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that show and about your participation.
Yeah. Well, it was based on a wonderful best-selling book by Taffy Brodesser-Akner called Fleischman is in Trouble, and she adapted the book and was the showrunner. So she was around and just become a really good friend. And she Lizzie I've known for a lot of years, but we had never worked together, so that was a real thrill. We had so much fun. It's a show about people at midlife who are married and have kids and have done well, have some resources, who also feel some doors closing to them and are sad about, the youthful kind of glow has worn off, and they're having to look at their next chapter of their lives and wrestle with what is meaningful, what do they want, what is meaningful, to whom do we owe anything. And it's a really deep, wonderful story. I'm really proud to be a part of that show. I love it.
So could that be maybe art imitating life for you, or did that get you thinking about anything?
I'm right around those ages. I don't have any kids, but I understand. I understand that moment when part of the joy of youth, but the horror of youth is you have all these options available to you, and sometimes options can be overwhelming and kind of crush us. But when you get to be in your 40s, I found it feels like certain doors just get slammed, and you feel like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I might not travel there. And there's some sadness in letting go. You have these tiny little funerals for the lives that you're not going to live. But then there's an opportunity, I think, and I think the show explores this, of like, what if this was my life? And what if this was an okay life? What if this was a good enough life? What if I could enjoy this life that I'm living and find some peace?
Yeah. Great. Are you working on new music, or do you have anything else?
I am, yeah. I recorded a double album of all original songs in Nashville with some friends, and I'm just figuring out how to release that. It'll be out next year, but I'm really excited about it. I got some live shows coming up too. So yeah, always writing music.
Great. I look forward to maybe speaking to you again on that.
Oh,
thanks
cool.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time, Josh. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. Good talking to you.
You too.